Welcome to Unshakable with Human Design, the show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs use human design to shift from hustle to flow without sacrificing results. Come here to become an unshakable human and build an unshakable business according to your human design. I'm your host, Nicole and Laino. Hello and welcome to Unshakable with Human Design, everybody. I'm here with my lovely transit co-host, Miss Christina Luna. Hello, my dear. How are you doing today?
Oh my gosh, I am doing so well. I'm so happy to be talking with you today.
It's the December episode. This is our last transit episode of 2024. Every year goes fast, but I really feel like this year, particularly the last 6 months, just went by in like the blink of an eye. Like, where did every month go? It's madness.
It was, and I really sat in all the astrology for December, and it's wild. So we're recording this still in November, and I recently had a word ringing in my head over and over, penultimate.
Yes.
Have you heard that word before?
Of course.
So
I say it
didn't
to
know
my
what that word
husband
meant.
every time we watch a series. I'm like, it's the penultimate episode when it's the second to the last
Yes.
one. And he tells me, please stop saying that. But I say it literally every time we watch a show. So I'm familiar with the word. Yes.
Okay, I didn't have any connection to this word, but it was going on over and over in my head. And so I brought it all the way to consciousness. Hey, is penultimate actually in a word? I received that, yes, it's a word. It's the second to the last episode of a series. And that's absolutely what November felt like. And I'm looking at the astrology for December, and it looks like it's the season finale, but they're really planting a whole bunch of seed for like the next season. They don't want the series to end. They want there to be a whole nother season. They want to take the characters to a whole nother landscape, a whole nother relationship cycle. Like, they're setting it up. The astrology is setting it up for there to be an like spin-off series, like all kinds of things. So I'm very, very excited about December.
Is it a cliffhanger? Are we all going to be on pins and needles? We're going to be on pins and needles at the end of the year. What's coming? I feel it. We're almost there. I'm excited to hear what you have to say about that. Let's talk a little bit about November. To me, I got sick. If you guys hear me, I'm a little froggy, so apologies for that. But I got sick, so that kind of messed with my energy a little bit. And we're in the middle of November as we're recording this. We're not quite to the end, so who knows what's coming in the next 2 weeks. But I've definitely felt, and I always feel this way in November, that it's sort of like rich action to me, where there's always stuff that's bubbling up. That was how it felt here, was like, I have, I guess, maybe some deep like Scorpio stuff. There's like emotional things. There's things that come up, but I felt very equipped to handle them. But I also felt very aligned with action and doing stuff. I wasn't going into a healing hole or anything like that. October was very much like inward. And November, I felt really in alignment to move, and I still do. And I feel like that it's just felt good to me, outside of me, getting an icky cold, which no big deal. It's fine. But I prefer to feel awesome. But outside of that, it just felt like a month that, I don't know, it just felt like it moved. It felt like I was free to move through it and move through some things that I feel like I might have closed the chapter on a couple of emotional things that, there's some things it's like you're not actively working on them. They're just sort of passively working in the background of shedding. And that was how I felt with this month. I'm letting some things go where I feel like I have less baggage walking into 2025 and certainly walking into December.
Well, that's definitely what Scorpio season would want us to be doing. Definitely releasing things that would be keeping us from our most authentic, most intimate experience with life. And for me, it's a little bit not fair to talk about how November feels as of today, as of recording today, because tomorrow Pluto moves into Aquarius officially. So we're literally recording this on the very last day of something that feels like the last day of an era, basically.
So chapters closing sounds about right.
Yeah, totally right. And then I think tomorrow, starting at the 19th, and then closing out November, which we're all going to be listening to this episode, living through those next 2 weeks. I actually perceive that those 2 weeks are going to feel very, very different, very beautifully different, as if we finally landed in a new world and we get the freedom to have beginner's eyes with everything. And I think that Mercury's retrograde is helping with that. I think that Pluto in Aquarius is helping with that. I think that the sun moving into Sagittarius is helping with that. So we open up December kind of in this new terrain. And for me, Scorpio season is always a testing time. And it's testing an arrow that we shot in Libra season. We shot an arrow of intention. We pulled it back with the greatest curiosity of intentions. And then the arrow had to go through Scorpio season, which you're going to bat that arrow out of the sky. You're going to bat it out of your alignment if you're super afraid to open your heart, if you're super afraid to let go, to surrender, you're super afraid to tell the truth to yourself or someone else. That arrow is testing your resolve to be actually intimate in a way that releases your control over the outcome. I've shared with you a couple of times that there are these 3 pillars of the new paradigm of relationship, and becoming honest with yourself is the first one, sharing honestly with someone else is the second one, and then releasing attachment to the outcome of that truth is the third pillar. And that's what Scorpio season was testing us. Can you release attachment and share the truth anyway? And then release your control of trying to manage what happens afterward. And so I definitely experienced that for myself in Scorpio season. And the cool thing is, the more I did that, the more I discovered more. And it kept renewing a sense of faith that I've had as a soul in this lifetime. It's like I've had a total renewal of my faith in what we're even doing here. What is life even about? And so I'm really excited to see how that faith interacts with reality once we get into Sagittarius season, because that's when the arrow lands. The arrow will land on some new guiding principle or truth now that it's been tested through Scorpio season. And what will we do when we know something without a shadow of a doubt? When we understand something, we don't have to have faith in it. We don't have to trust in it because we know that it's real. And I believe that the last 2 weeks of November are helping us all to hit that point with our arrow so that we know what that is, and then we act and move in the world from that new truth.
I love that. There's excitement, but it's kind of crazy what is happening at the end of November. So if you're listening to this, you're going to be hearing us talk about something that hasn't happened yet for us, but it's happened for you. So it'd be interesting for you to take a look back at the last 2 weeks from November 19th on, and what's the shift that you felt over these last 2 weeks? What have you noticed, like energetic paradigm shift in the way that you felt? I'm anxiously awaiting this change. Nobody knows what it's going to feel like. Do you think you know?
Well, I'm getting glimpses. I already feel that they're teasing what's to come in the new series. Definitely.
The trailers are out.
The trailers are out. I'm like, woo, I'm all primed and ready for it, even though I don't know exactly how they're going, what is going to happen yet. But I've been having really prolific, important, meaningful dreams. And I've been having greater conversations with, you know how sometimes you go through periods of time where your soul really talks to you?
Yes.
I don't know if
I've absolutely been having that the last few weeks, where I've gone through, that's what I mean about the range of emotion and stuff that's come up, that really feeling like I've landed in a place now, or I'm getting there, where surrender is the right word, where it just feels like I know things and letting go of some other stuff. Like I really do feel like I've shed a lot of things that, and I don't know if they're all emotional, but it just stuff that through these conversations having in my own being, my soul with whatever awareness I have that thinks it's me, having this conversation and landing in a place of going, it's going to feel different and we're going to be different. But it feels very hopeful to me. To me, it feels like a good thing, but who knows?
On top of that, I've been recording a lot of readings for the first quarter of next year. And so I think that's another reason I'm getting a lot of downloads about what the new series will be about, because I'm dropping into all of these people's personal timelines and I'm looking at how it's shaping up for multiple different types of people. And wow, the energy signature is one that by April 1st, you know how, oh man, I have so many different things I was going to reference. Do you know the archetype of Cassandra? Cassandra was this archetype where she was a prophet. She could see things, but one of her curses is that no one believed her. And so she spent a lot of time telling people what would happen. But no one took her words. And so for a period of my life, I actually felt a little bit like Cassandra. Like, I'm seeing these things, I'm talking about these things, and my work was to help people to understand or to convince them of what I saw. And this shift that's taking place right now is, I believe that over the course of the next few months, there will be proofs and truths that will be so evident that no one will need anyone to convince them of anything ever again. I know right now some of us are like, what does that mean? There's going to be aliens. There's going to be, and I'm like, no. It's not even like in a tangible way like that. There could definitely be a bunch of tangible things, but I feel like this is a really deep inside job to understand that we are all powerful creators. I actually think without a shadow of a doubt, we will see how powerfully we manifest and create our reality. And I think that by April 1st of next year, we're going to have such massive proof, we will never question our ability to do that ever again. And so these are the previews, and it's different for everyone what that circumstance needs to be for that person to believe that for themselves. But it's the same sensation for everyone.
It's going to be a ride. It's going to be different. Now I'm even more curious. And now that we're going into, we still have a month left of 2024 too, before we get to 2025. And first, before we begin, I want to ask you, how's your bliss experiment going, your bliss project? Have you been continuing, or have you put it on pause while you...
The bliss just keeps expanding. It feels like there's not an end to the bliss. Even if I thought I was in bliss a month ago when we talked, I had no idea what bliss was because it just got bigger. And it feels like I've passed the point of no return for the event horizon for a black hole. Now I don't have a choice but to continue on the path of bliss. And because all that means is that I continuously be more of my authentic self every single day. And now there's no going back. I can never not be authentic again. The momentum is too strong. And as long as I'm authentic, the bliss continues. And so this whole situation, I could go on and on about some of the downloads I've gotten about how there's a gap between our consciousness and unconsciousness, and that our consciousness is writing a beautiful story of life for our unconscious to be coming into great sacred union with our consciousness. There are so many little tiny bits of, these are my universal truths. These are the Sagittarian truths that are coming in for me. I don't want to speak over anyone else's bliss. So yeah, my short answer is, oh my gosh, it's going really well. And I strongly recommend it.
Keep us updated on this. For those of you who didn't listen to last month's episode, go and listen to it. She shared her findings in this little experiment she's doing, and we dubbed it the Bliss Experiment because she has figured out how to get out of the collective frequency band and rise higher and soar above the emotions and cosmic energies that the rest of us can get swept up in so easily. So go listen to that because she explained it all. But we'll keep checking in to see how the Bliss Experiment continues to evolve, because I'm definitely interested in this. I'm fascinated by the whole thing. Starting to talk about December and where we're headed for the end of this year. We're closing out like the year of the wood dragon, right? Just to sort of keep everybody updated on what we talked about like right at the beginning of this year. And we're heading into Sagittarius season. That's what most of December is. Can you tell everybody just a little bit about what Sagittarius is about for those that don't know?
Sagittarius is a fire sign, and it's mutable fire, which means it's the kind of fire that moves you. It's the kind of fire that consumes you when you're passionate about something. And it's the kind of fire that you know that something's expired because there's no more fire there anymore. When people carry a lot of Sagittarian energy, they're often considered maybe jacks of all trades, but masters of none, because they'll move into a new body of work or a new passion, and they'll be so passionate about it, and they'll do it so hard until they reach a certain point where the resource for that is used up, and then they'll move on to something else. And that's actually a really beautiful recipe for getting mastery in several different parts of your life that you eventually bring together as a unifying truth. But Sagittarian energy will try to move us. And in some ways, people can feel so convicted in their truths during Sagittarian season that they almost come across as arrogant, or they come across as like their truth is the only truth because they believe they're tapping into a universal truth that's very different from Gemini. Gemini is the opposite sign of Sagittarius, and Gemini is, well, this is my opinion. It's a good show because I like it. It's good music because I enjoy it. So that's a Gemini owning that the ego has preferences. The Sagittarius becomes a connection to guiding principles for someone's life. It's not just an opinion. This is my truth, and this is why I'm moving in this way. And I don't understand why you're not moving in this way because it's the right way. And so we need to be mindful that every single person has a different way of engaging their Sagittarian energy. And it's meant to give us enough passion that we'll step into our legacy. We'll step into the final arrow of manifestation, which moves from Capricorn to Pisces. And Capricorn to Pisces is, okay, you're passionate enough about something to advocate for it. Now make something real in the world because you have enough energy and you care so deeply about it. And so we're not meant to become like spiritual, this Sagittarius sort of rules like the spiritual teacher or the guru or the one that has the temple that tells everyone that this is the right way. We aren't really meant to stay at those temples, and we're not really meant to stay as the guru either. We're meant to own and act from all of those truths in a way that actually makes an impact on the world. And so this may be a time where we sort of abandon spiritual teachings that don't serve us anymore, or we leave the temples of people that we've given authority to give ourselves that authority so that we can make our own impact, we can make our own mark. So it's an interesting transition moment.
Yeah. And as we're going into December too, the way that I look at it from the human design perspective, in November, we cross over into that fourth quarter of the year, which is about transformation. That's kind of like we've gone through this whole year and now here we are at the end of the wheel, or at the end of this part of the wheel in that fourth quarter where it's transformation time. It's time for something to be, what are you now? We just went through this whole thing. Now what? And December is kind of the middle of that quarter. It starts in November, middle is December, and then it closes out in January. So there's always lessons in here. I look at the wheel as like it's a progression. And just like the year is. So there's a theme. And as we come to the end of the year, we're at this theme of saying, well, what worked, what didn't, and why this year? Like, can we reflect a little bit on 2024? And then what do we want to take into next year? And I think one of the things that's interesting is that when we start off the month of December, we start off in gate 5. And again, what I'm talking about is the sun gates, because we could go through all of the planets, but that would be a very, very long show. We'd need a whole show just devoted to the transits rather than one episode. With the sun, we also get an earth polarity. So some of them, that really shows us kind of the push-pull of the energy that's happening. And the 5th gate is what we start off December in. We're kind of we're finishing out the 9th gate in the 1st and 2nd of the month. We'll still be in the 9th gate, which is about details, which is about like fine-tuning stuff, getting very clear on the small things, hopefully not getting lost in the small things, and just being able to tie up loose ends, dot our I's, cross our T's, and see those little fine details that are in there. And then the 5th gate is where we head to on the 3rd of the month. And that 5th gate, the polarity of the 5th gate is the 35th gate. And what's interesting to me, these are collective energies, so they have that more broad sharing kind of theme to them. But the 5th gate is the gate of fixed patterns. One of the things that I think people don't really hone in on, because it's part of the channel of rhythm, so it's about finding your rhythm. It can be definitely a gate of habits, routines. It can be rigid in its overreactive state. And it can have really bad, terrible habits like addiction in its low state. What I think is interesting about this is gate 5 is about fixed patterns. It is logical in nature. And logic is always about finding the pattern so that we can progress and make things better. Logic is predictable, and that's how we grow. And then on the other side of the polarity of the 5th gate is the 35th gate, which is the gate of progress, which is experiential. It is not logical. It does not want to know the pattern. It says, screw it, let's do it. Let's just try something new. Stop being so boring, gate 5, with your routines and your habits and all of that stuff. Let's just try something new. Let's break it and see what happens. Like that's 35. Like we make progress by moving. So you have this pull from these two things. I think that they're one of the more fascinating pairings in that way to me, because honestly, what's happening here, what I think about when I think about business is the underlying piece of the 5th gate that people don't talk about is we're talking about nature's rhythms as well. that respecting nature's rhythms means that you plant a seed, you can't stare at it every day and wonder, is the seed growing because you can't see something on top of the soil? It's not there yet, but it absolutely does not mean that nothing is happening under the surface. I think the line for this is that waiting is an active state of awareness. And I think that's sort of a beautiful way to kind of look at this, because it does say that, like, when I think of this whole thing and I'm thinking about December kicking off, and as I was preparing for this show, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, right, patterns and progress. That in business and in our lives, we all want progress, and we can look to take massive action and just push from that place of trying to make more. But that is not what creates progress. What creates progress is habits, understanding that waiting is an active state of awareness. Everybody out there waiting for an invitation, waiting to respond. It's part of your strategy. Are you actually waiting? Or are you just standing still and thinking about, when is the next thing going to come? When am I going to? That if you could take that lesson of that time, that might be a heightened energy that you feel during that first week of the month. Either that waiting feels really good and you feel so settled in your rhythm, or you feel like you got to make a move and you got to make it now. So noticing what comes up for you, noticing what's there, and remembering the lesson is that, like I said, like patterns and progress are the two things that come up for me. Like that's what these two gates represent. And if you want to create progress, like in your business, you do have to create good habits. You do have to create good patterns. You do have to have some sort of logical process to build on. That is what makes progress possible. But it isn't just about being rigid. It is also about taking some chances, taking some leaps. What you talked about, jack of all trades, that is what the 35th gate is about, is the jack of all trades. It's one of the nicknames for it. So if you can just notice that and be aware of that energy, that it might be present there and how that shows up for you. Can you get comfortable in a rhythm? Can you establish some good, healthy patterns and habits for yourself that first week that you're going to say, I want to take these with me. I feel like these are ones I want to carry with me into the rest of this month to finish out the year, and then into next year to create the progress that I want to create. That was just something that was coming through for me as I was looking at this. And I'm like, that's kind of what I'm taking in for that first week. What are you seeing as we kick off December?
The first week's actually quite intense. I'm glad you went into depth from your perspective on that first week, because we definitely are going to have some polarizing energy that first week, some drives and also some awarenesses. I believe we'll be observers of ourselves on a whole nother level. And the reason I feel that way is because this first week of December is considered like the night of fire, the night of wands. The Knight of Wands wants to rush in with a lot of passion, wants to move fast. It wants to charge in. But while we're having that charge in energy, we're having a Mars moving retrograde that week. Also with Mercury retrograde, we have energies that are asking us to actually stop and slow down and observe why we want to rush in the first place. What is that rushing energy about, or what is that passion about? Is it a passion moving towards something, or is it a passion moving away from something? And what if there are some patterns in place that if we could observe them, if we could become very conscious of the way we behave with Mars and unwind some of those behaviors, we're actually going to set ourselves up for much more aligned behavior in the future. And so I think that the first week, there's going to be Mercury oppositions to Jupiter. There's going to be a sun squaring Saturn. There's going to be energies that are going to create dynamic conflict. It's going to create moments where we really need to be slow and conscious and deliberate. Because if we rush through some of these transits, it is energy that could kind of break things in our life. To know what we value, to know that we have time, that even if the energy is presenting something that makes us feel we're running out of time, whatever that feeling is and whatever those behaviors are, that's what we need to observe. And that's what we need to gain a greater awareness around.
Yeah, and that's why I think one of my favorite lessons of all the gates, Gate 5, is one that I think of often, that waiting is an active state. When you're waiting and evaluating and feeling into things and honoring the rhythms of life, rather than feeling like you have to go all the time, it's now or never, That might be true sometimes, but it's probably true a lot less than we feel like it's true. And can we sit with that truth and hang with it long enough to have a bit of clarity? So I feel like we're jiving there with our messages. And then for moving into that second week, then we go into the big guns. I don't know if you're seeing big energy in that second week, but what we have is just a natural progression here. That second week is the 26th gate. The 26th gate is the taming power of the great. It's big ego energy. It is big fire. It is a gate of influence, leadership, sales. There are so many ways that you can look at this gate, but I love the name of it, the taming power of the great. There's two taming powers. There's taming power of the small, which is gate 9, which we are at the end of November, and then taming power of the great. And I always think of those two names because it's, are you being tamed by the power of the great, by the ego, or are you taming it? And that's always a question. What has power over you? Are you doing good things with your leadership? Are you doing good things with your influence? It is about manipulation. Sell them what they want, give them what they need is a 26th gate line. There is great power in our ability to influence, and I'm going to use the term manipulate simply because I think a good amount of caution with this power is good, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's a bad thing. You just have the power to manipulate. It's the way you tell a story. And the truth is what you were saying before about Sagittarius, about the truth is what I say it is. That's 26. And it manipulates the story to say, I'm going to tell you my version of the past so that it supports what I'm telling you right now is the present. And be careful with that. Be careful that it's not just what you're going to do, it's what you're going to see and maybe see a lot of during that week, because some people are not going to be in the bliss experiment where they're flying higher above this energy like Christina. They're going to be swept up in it. So you might see that around you during that time. I was just curious, what are you seeing for that time period?
I'm so happy you just said that last part about how just because someone has a loud voice doesn't mean they're speaking from the place that you want to be following. Some people can speak with so much conviction that they're really believable. And the beautiful thing about this week is that it's considered the Queen of Fire. And the Queen of Fire, anytime we talk about queen energy, we're always talking about the innate, deep, complete, personal, discerning space inside of us. Whether you're a man or a woman, there's a queen inside of our hearts that knows things with absolute sovereignty. And the Queen of Wands is telling every single person, look at what is true deep in your own heart. What do you know with your life experiences, with your fire, with your heart, with your passion, what's actually true? And so the thing that's really cool about this year, though, is in addition to having that Queen of Fire in our hearts, we're going to have Venus freshly in Aquarius, Venus freshly crossed over Pluto, Venus freshly in this frequency, this vibration of her truth. And she's going to have an opposition to Mars, who is retrograde in another fire sign. He's retrograde in Leo. This is a moment where Mars is the fallen king. Mars is the king who's crying in his kingdom because the old world has changed. And now a new queen is sitting on the throne. And she's a queen who knows the value of connection, knows the value of the truth of frequency, of authenticity. She knows how to cut through with this fiery sword, cut through bullshit, cut through the things like these things will have no more power over the ones that own the queen of their heart. And so for entrepreneurs and leaders, people who have been preparing themselves forever, for their entire lifetime, to run heart-led businesses, to serve people with their mission and purpose and legacy, this is a really strong time for that throne to be empowered and lit up. And we will see that anything from the old guard, anything that used manipulation, fear, used lack in their power to maintain more power over another, that is going to be debilitated. The old king will feel powerless. And the new queen, this is in every man, woman, and child. Like, I'm not speaking about men and women right now. I'm speaking about something that's present in every single person's heart. That heart will have the sovereignty. And so I think it's a huge break in old power dynamics. And I believe with that break, it's going to change economies. It's going to change relationship patterns and roles for the good, for something more authentic for everyone. We're still in the very last episode of this season, right? So it still will be times where the plot is finally being revealed on a deeper level and where we will get that resolution. It's still wrapping up this old situation that we've just emerged from. So I do see that being strong, and it leads right into the King of Wands. The King of Wands is the week after that. So now that you've claimed your truth and you're sovereignly sitting in the truth of your heart, now how will you live your life? Now there's a new king being crowned that's coming from that place, that's serving that queen. And so that's like what those 2 middle weeks are. And that's when Mercury moves direct. And that's when we've got the sun moving into Capricorn, ready to kind of like, from this day forward, I will initiate these laws. We're going to be creating these declarations to our life in like the teens of December.
I love that impression that you just did. Like, I just got this lovely, the ruler of Capricorn coming in. That made me laugh. Yeah, those middle weeks of December from the human design perspective, we have the gate of ideas that comes in on the 14th. And then we move into the gate of treading, or the behavior of self, on the 20th. That whole passage there, I think it's an interesting sort of, again, because I look at the wheel sort of as like a progression. Like, we're moving towards something. They build on each other. It's like 5 is like, what's your flow? What's your rhythm? Now let's take that rhythm and now let's influence the tribe with it, with that 26th gate. Power struggle definitely in that second week. And then shifting into this mind center gate of ideas. And it's funny, it's the gate of ideas and also of peace. And it's something about peace comes from recognizing that not every idea needs to be acted on. That's not what they're here for. It's not an action. Ideas are not sacral. It's a mind thing. It's an awareness. Can you let an idea, to me, like what I look at there, and that's right around the full moon, can you see what comes up? Like, what new realization and ideas do you have at this time? And can you just be aware of them? Can you assess what brought these ideas here? How did you land here? Where did that come from? And can you get super curious about them? Because, and I think it's not an accident either, but at this perfect time of the year where we're starting to see what is it that we want to create next year. And that's kind of some time that I'm going to notice if those ideas for the future, the ones that don't need to be actioned and planned and the trigger pulled on right now, can I swim in them and can I hang out with them and see what's there and allow them to be what they are? It's those ideas that kind of push us into that. What we hit on the 20th of the month is the gate 10, which is a G-center gate. It's part of the vessel of love cross. It's one of the 4 love gates in the human design chart. And it's about loving yourself. It's known as the gate of the behavior of self. And it's about correct behavior, that it's so damn authentic that you don't care what anybody thinks about you. You love yourself so damn much that you just are who you are. So it's sort of like, who do you want to be going into next year is one way that I could think about that. Just being positioned at this end of the year point where we're kind of evaluating things and checking in with ourselves. And it's like, well, who the hell am I after all of this? And what ideas am I carrying in? And then what is that going to make? What identity do I want to carry in? And how can I embrace that more? I do identity work all the time. It's definitely been something that I've been playing with a lot lately because I realized that I was sort of hitting like an identity plateau. When I looked at myself and I really looked, I'm like, I think I need to level up some of the ways of seeing myself and the ways that I behave. One way that I do that is through going through those G-center gates and kind of exploring and shifting things and little ways that I do it. I'm definitely going to be doing that at the end of the year. I always do it, but I'm really going to take some time during that week just to sort of, what does it mean to be me? How do I want to see myself? And how do I want other people to see me?
So you're talking about this period of time that it moves into Capricorn. Capricorn is cardinal earth, and cardinal earth begins the pentacles or the earth element in the archetypes. So that week that you're talking about identity and who am I now? How do I treat myself? How do I build myself from this new awareness of who I am? That's the Ace of Pentacles. That's the beginning foundation stones of putting that value back into yourself and investing into what is true now. And I always see Capricorn season as the moment we actually understand what's valuable and we invest in it. And Capricorn, a lot of astrologers right now are really, they're saying like, oh, well, Pluto and Capricorn was like this hellish 16 years of this blah, blah, blah. I feel like they're really missing the mark about the value that Capricorn actually brings. Capricorn knows what is actually valuable, what's a legacy and what will last. And it puts energy into that. It has deep connection to values. And so when we're starting out this new cycle around the 20th or 21st, right around that turning of the gate, with the new awareness we've gained over this whole year, we begin putting that investment back into what is valuable. You see an exchange of gifts during this time. I value you. I've really thought about how important you are to me, and I want to give this to you to show you how much I value you. And we receive those investments as well. And so oftentimes, even though there's this whole commercial holiday, it is the time that the sun has gone to its lowest point in the Northern Hemisphere. We have the darkest moment of the year. And at that darkest moment, we understand what's truly and vitally important. And that is what reminds us of why we're alive, why we would invest our time, energy, and attention to something. And so this turning of the year is beautiful, and it's supposed to be very clarifying because people don't just invest in things from their brain. They don't just put in to things that they don't deeply feel committed to. And so if we use this time appropriately, we can have a lot of clarity on what those investments look like moving forward.
I love that. And I feel like on Christmas Day, we shift into one of the most beautiful gates in the whole wheel, which I think is sort of perfect at this time. It's the gate of joy and vitality and being alive. I just love being alive. And it's the drive to live joyously. And whenever I encounter people that have the 58th gate, they are joy. They all have this spark or not, where there's like a definite absence of it, because everything is to have it or to have the absence of it because you're not in a good place with it. But the people who carry this gate, there is always just this spark of light. They have that ability to turn that up. And we all get that ability at the end of this year to crank up the joy. And I think it's beautiful that it shifts on Christmas Day this year. It's not the same exact day every year. It's close. But on Christmas Day, we shift and then we're hitting into that gate of joy and vitality. So I think it's inviting us to ask ourselves, one, it's always present. It's always there, the potential for vitality, whether you have the gate or not. But we all get this moment to really surrender to that, not making things harder than they need to be. Sometimes it just is a pursuit of happiness. That's how I'm going to be focusing at the end of this year. That last week is just going to be about what brings me joy and letting that carry me into next year. That don't lose focus on that, that it really is just about being happy and the pursuit of happiness, and that we all have the ability to feel alive and expressed. And there is a brightness to it. And I think that there's an invitation to that at the end of the year to say, like, I'm going to be me and I'm going to allow myself to just be the authentic version of myself. And I'm going to align with joy. The universe gives us a little boost here by giving us that at the end of the year. There's an assistance to that energy that if you want it, you can grab it. It's not bad energy to get swept up in at the end of the year. If you're not riding above it and you get swept up in the collective consciousness, just recognizing that the 58th gate, the only thing that I can say is it can be a perfectionist in the pursuit of that joy and that happiness. And that's the trap you want to avoid. Don't try to make it perfect. Just allow it to be what it is and that it can get better. Let that thought lift you, like, oh, and it can get better and it can get better and it can get better. It can go up and up from here.
I think every New Year's Eve, right leading up to New Year's, there's always this kind of collective wave around New Year's resolutions or dreaming up what the next year is going to be like for us. And what's interesting is this isn't actually the beginning of the year. Right. It is technically the beginning of a calendar year, but this is the beginning of the last part of a manifesting cycle. The energy that we put in this last week of December is designed to prepare us properly for the end of March and the beginning part of April. And so my kind of permission slip this time is imagine that you're planting a seed to bring something to fruition for yourself that will come to completion in March, that will get you to a space where you're ready to launch into something completely new for yourself in April. So publish your book, get your book published before April 1st, get your programs, get your library set up, get your app, get your website, get all of those foundational things you've been dreaming of shoring up. Plan quarterly rather than for the entire year, because I believe we're going to be in a completely different landscape starting on April 1st. And so let the bliss of the next short cycle be what you primarily focus on, and let yourself come to completion in a smaller dose. So it doesn't have to be so grandiose, and it's just more manageable and it's more realistic and more practical based on what I'm seeing here.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. April 1st, it's all going to change. So Christina's letting us know there's a line in the sand. She's predicting that we're all going to have, that this is going to be, there's something brewing, there's something changing. And we can be prepared for that, well, as best as anyone can be prepared for change that we don't know what is coming. But do you feel hopeful? Do you feel excited about
Absolutely.
it? Okay.
I'm so excited about it.
I'm holding on to that because I'm like, I feel that way too. I feel like the thing that's been coming through to me a lot over the last few weeks, I don't even know how to, you were saying soul conversations, just things that it's not a conversation in my head. It's just these knowings that are getting like deposited. And I can feel it being worked through, where a thought will come up and I don't know where it came from. And then it feels like it gets resolved, but it gets resolved in my body. I don't even know how to explain it. And the thing that keeps coming through to me, this aligns with Aquarius energy, is that we are all one. That is the thing that is the most important thing for us to, I don't know if understand is the right thing, but live in alignment with. And it starts with each one of us. It's not something you have to get everybody on board with. It's deeply personal work to us to surrender to the fact that we're part of something so much bigger than what we think. That's what's coming through to me. And that gives me a lot of peace. It sounds like a big, tall order, but when you realize that your job is to surrender to that oneness, that's kind of what I have been sitting with lately.
Can I share a very short anecdote about proof that I've experienced of what you just said?
Of course.
This past September was my birthday, and I went to a friend's house. I don't need to go into all the details. I went to a friend's house. They got me a cake, and they put a candle on it that doesn't blow out. Well, you blow it out, but it lights back up, right? And so my daughter and all her cousins and this beautiful couple, they were all just singing. And then I made a wish for myself, and then the candle lit again. And I was like, oh, I get another wish. And so I started going through and wishing wishes for everyone in the room. And the candle got this small. It just kept lighting up and lighting up and lighting up. And so now I'm giving multiple wishes. I'm like, okay, now this one's for my little nephew, Elliot. Okay, this one's for your mom, who's not even in the room. So I'm giving all these wishes. And the way I was wishing was I closed my eyes and I tangibly saw as much as I possibly could that I was witnessing that person. I was wishing that person this happiness. They were laughing. Someone was giving them something. They're getting a hug. And so I just kept imagining these people receiving this really beautiful sensation. And so wish, wish, wish for all these folks. Seriously, I kid you not. The woman whose house I was at, she texted me this morning and asked me, how are you? She hasn't spoken to me since my birthday. And I said, oh my gosh, you'll never believe it. Every single wish that I was able to make for my birthday, I wished them for everyone else, but I think I got them all back. I think I got every single wish back, and I was earnestly wishing for them. This is not the first time I've had this experience where I'll celebrate someone else winning something, and they have no idea who I am. And then a couple weeks later, they message me randomly and tell me that they want to give me the gift that they won. I wasn't celebrating their win because I was receiving it. I was celebrating it because I felt as if I was them receiving it. And then it gifted back to me. So this concept of we are everyone, I've had a lot of tangible evidence of that. The piece of it, though, I really am legitimately wishing this for others. I really am legitimately desiring this for others.
Right. You're not trying to game the system.
Yeah. No, I'm not trying to game the system. I don't even, even though I know this mechanism works, it still doesn't cross my mind when it's happening.
Right. And that's so powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that that's kind of a beautiful place to sort of leave this for our last transit episode, is that we are all connected. You experiencing joy genuinely for somebody else, almost that exact same joy came back to you. That coming from that pure place managed to make its way back to you, the thing that you wished or that you created or that you were grateful for somebody else. I think that that's just a really beautiful message to leave everybody with. Do you have anything else that you wanted to share before we close out 2024?
No, if that could be the thing that I leave the world with in this moment, that is the thing.
I think it's a beautiful message. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to give Christina the last word on that one, because that was just a really beautiful way. If we influence you with anything, let it be that you experience joy and gratitude and sending wishes to other people, and that you experience those same things along with them. That sounds beautiful. So thank you all. I will have more episodes for you. We're going to talk again. But Christina and I, this is our last one for this year. So thank you for being with us this entire year, Christina. Thank you for being the other half of these episodes. I couldn't do them without you. I appreciate you so much. We appreciate you, listener, for being so dedicated. These are some of our most popular episodes. Thank you for listening and loving them and sharing them and all the things. Please share them on Instagram and tag both of us. Christina's at lunation.live. I'm at Nicole Laino Official. Let us know what you loved about this. What are you casting into 2025? What are you putting out there? We would love to know. Thank you so much for being here. We love you all. And remember, in order to have an unshakable business, you must first become an unshakable human. So thanks for letting us help you become unshakable with human design, everybody. We will see you next year.
If you love this episode and you're a fan of the show, please show us the love on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to the show, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with other entrepreneurs on their human design journey, join our free Facebook community, Human Design for Entrepreneurs. Go to NicoleLaino.me/podcast links to join the group, book a human design reading with me, or access our free human design resources. We'll see you there.